So we thought we'd ask presidential historian Doug Wead if that is the case and whether we should worry. What do you think, Doug? Much is made of that, and yet I can remember many, and you know this far better than I, many administration that had some top military types, retired military types. I guess what they're arguing here is that not this high a percentage. Is that true?
It may be, but Neil, I got to tell you, give me a break. George Washington was a general. Dwight Eisenhower was a general. Andrew Jackson, Chester B. Arthur, Rutherford B. Hayes, Ulysses S. Grant, Zachary Taylor, William Henry Harrison. We've had 12 presidents of the United States who were generals. So what Trump is trying to do here is drain the swamp and end the corruption. So his choices are academia, business, and military. Those are his choices. If he goes with politicians like the New York Times and the Washington Post want him to do, he's going to be picking people who were successful, rising to the top, working with lobbyists, quid pro quo, and he's already sent the signal to Boeing. He says, hey, look, I'm a billionaire. I don't need your money. Boeing gave $1 million to the Clinton Foundation. They did a $2 million deal with the State Department for the Olympics. Their executives all gave money for Hillary Clinton to win election, and now it's quid pro quo. Clinton will open the coffers for them. But hey, Clinton didn't win. So the signal he sent to Boeing, which many people misunderstood, was, hey, you want government money? Come in on time with a good bid, you can get government money. But the old way of doing business is over. And it's going to take generals to run those bureaucracies and business leaders to run those bureaucracies if he doesn't tap the politicians.
You know, what's interesting about what you said, Doug, and I'd forgotten about all the chief executives themselves who came from the military, including in recent history, General Eisenhower. The fear is always that it's going to slant too much toward military types, and then this separation where you have private citizens, for want of a better term, non-military types running these military positions, that is something special in the case of America, and that we don't want to, we don't want to blur that. What do you think of that?
Well, we've never had it happen in the past. We've had great leadership from generals. All of our presidents who were generals acquitted themselves well. There's never been any attempt to do that. I find it just facetious and far-fetched. When we started, we picked a retired general, George Washington, to lead our country, and he's the one that set this whole precedent. He's the one that walked away from power. So it's a ridiculous, it's a bogus argument. I think Donald Trump has been, this has surprised me, but I think except for Abraham Lincoln, he's been the greatest president-elect we've ever had, because every decision he's made, that they may look haphazard, the call from Taiwan, the deal with Carrier in Indiana, every one of them is strategic. Every one of them is making a point. He's speaking to us through these decisions, and he's showing that a president can't just sit back in the Rose Garden and give lectures. They have to get out front and lead. And I'm very impressed. I don't know what his presidency will be like. I'm very impressed with him as a president-elect.
And by the way, in the case of Lincoln, of course, states were seceding with the nation. There was no action on his part. He couldn't control that, but a little different. Well, he's very activist.
He had some input,
Absolutely. He sent a message.
Buchanan was on the 19th century equivalent of a Netflix binge or something. He had disappeared. So here was Lincoln trying to keep Kentucky in the Union, and those little jokes he told and things he did and speeches as a president-elect were very powerful and important.
I remember you had covered Lincoln at the time, so it's hard to believe all that time just passed by. Thank you, Doug. Have a Merry Christmas, my friend.
Merry Christmas to you, Neil.
Wonderful insight this past year. All right, well, what happens when the weather gets cold?